What's up, everybody? It's another episode of The Tailgate Show, breaking down the Bears, Lions, breaking down no answers from Matt Nagy this week, breaking down a acquisition of some property in Arlington Heights, and joining me, your boy B. Diddy, Air Jer, and the burnt meat master himself, Biscuits and Gravy. What's up, fellas?
What's going on, boys?
Chilling. How's it going, Jer?
Not good. The struggle is real, folks.
It just continues with Nagy, man. Like, I don't know what. Just I don't know. Just stop talking. Like he's overwhelmed, but he's put himself in this position. So now we're playing quarterback musical chairs. I don't know what your guys' take off these interviews is, but I just it's complete bullshit at this point.
Did you all watch the press conferences? Listen to them?
If you need
Against my better judgment, yes.
To play the Lions. You know
What's
what I'm saying? You really need gamesmanship versus the Lions. You gotta just be that guy, huh? This guy doesn't have a fucking clue. That's where I'm at with it. He just doesn't have a clue.
This whole Belichick wannabe secretive bullshit, but he says a lot to say a little, so it's not like really working for him. Like, you don't need to be this secretive. You don't need to hide who's calling plays. I don't think the Lions are going to be very surprised. Like, just you're screwing the fan base now, because like I don't understand. I don't understand the direction he's going in with it, because we want to know who's going to be the quarterback. Like, let us get some. Just say Justin. I mean, there's no way the bone bruise that injury usually takes a month or two. Like, I don't know, man.
Let's just say that he pulls Dalton and puts him in. What does that do to that young quarterback? I mean, what does it do if you're Justin Fields? How do you feel?
I think they've been pretty direct with who they want starting. So I mean, Justin seems to be handling it well. He understands he's a second string. I don't think I don't know. I don't know if it really. I know what you're saying. Like, he deserves another shot to put something good on tape and on the screen for us. I'm sure he wants to get out there and get some retribution for the game that he just had. But I don't know. What do you think, Biscuits?
I personally want him to get back out there and get some retribution after last week.
Yeah, I want it too.
I don't think in the long run, if he does end up sitting, he's a guy that you have to worry about confidence-wise. But just to get that bad taste out of it, I mean, I don't know. It would really fucking suck after that performance to send him on the bench again and, not get that bad taste out of our mouth.
Yeah.
You watched the QB school video, right?
Yeah,
I did.
What's the one thing? The one thing I took away from that video is that he needs to play. Period. He needs to get adjusted to the speed of the game and how things work. He needs to get in communication with his offensive linemen, his receivers. He's got to build that thing up. Nagy's doing him a giant disservice by not playing this kid. He's hurting him.
Nagy's doing a giant disservice to Fields by not coaching to his strengths. I did watch the video. I think that some of the critiques were a little harsh, considering this was his first start of his career. The throws that JT was talking about him making that's Tom Brady level shit for time.
Yeah, that one to Mooney. I mean, he really would have had to rip that thing fucking quick.
Yeah, man. I mean, he's not seeing anything clean most of the day, and you're expecting him to have this perfect timing. I understand the critique. I do. I understand he's a rookie and he has to grow. But the throws that JT was talking about him making with the windows, I mean, our receivers weren't getting much separation. You can call it NFL separation if you want, but that one to Kmet, he was talking about throwing, Kmet would have probably dropped it. It's not like Kmet's been doing that great. Like, I don't know, man. This O-line is what jumped off anything for me was how fucking horrible this O-line played. I mean,
there was three of them that were checkdowns too on third and long. So I mean, even if you do complete them, you're not getting the first down unless you're getting a lot of yak, which we're not typically known to do.
Right. I mean, you gotta get him. Everything should be off of Montgomery. The bootlegs, the play action. God forbid we can actually execute a screen game.
By the same token, don't you think that every other team in the league knows that?
Who gives a shit? When you coach to your talent and you are more talented than another team, They can know what's coming, but they, you know what I mean. You dictate what the fuck is going to happen with your offense. Like
Execution dictates.
what I'm saying is, who cares if they know what's going to happen? This secretive bullshit's not working for Nagy. You just win with your talent. You got David Montgomery, and you got Justin Fields back there. I don't care if they know what's coming. Make them stop it. Who gives a shit? Until they stop it, I don't care if they know.
Well, that's pretty much the Browns' approach. You don't think people going into the game know that the Browns are going to run everything through Chubb and Hunt? Everybody knows that, but they dictate the pace of the game.
Correct.
Going back to Jair's comment too about, he needs to play. I agree he needs to play, but it's a twofold issue because he needs to play because it's the only way he's going to learn and get experience and see some of these things. I don't think he's learning much from Andy Dalton. But then again, if you're throwing him out there with the schematic issues that JT O'Sullivan broke down, well, fuck, this kid doesn't have a chance. And that short passing game that they tried to run just wasn't working. Corners squatting all over that shit.
Yeah,
because your line's not giving them time. You can't run deep routes because your line's not giving those guys time.
Let's talk about your boy Ifedi, Jer.
Well, getting back to Fields really, really quick on that. Like, it's an indictment on Nagy for not letting him get any run with the starters. For not, he set him up to not even be a part of a competition, and that's the coach. I'm just nervous that he's not intentionally maybe doing it, but like you can't set a kid up for failure like this. Not this talented, man.
Sure,
like,
felt intentional at times, didn't it?
It came
what
off.
purpose does it serve to him though for it to be intentional?
I'm not saying what happened was intentional. What I'm saying is it's your decisions are part of this. You're not giving him the opportunity to even compete. You're not giving him run with the ones. You stick him out there and don't have a decent game plan for him. Like, you don't run the Dalton offense with Fields.
Agreed.
That's it.
That should go without saying, by the way. Did you see Lazer's comments tying into that a little bit about how they wish they had gone more max protect, how they wish they had used the tight ends and backs to chip a little bit more? Just feel like we were
calling for it, and we're
exactly
fans, man. Like,
I wanted to see him on the first play of the game get max protect, play action, and just launch it as far as he could throw it.
Jesse James had one snap. Like, you think you want to put guys that have a little bit of a chemistry with him in there. Jesse James proved that he had a chemistry with Fields. Put him in. I don't care what you're paying Kmet. The way Kmet's been playing, why not? Why not put James in there? He's a hell of a blocker.
Well, like we talked about running 12 personnel with Kmet and James. They actually ran 12 personnel on that first play and gained 16 with Monty.
Yep, and that was it. You didn't see it pretty much until the second half.
Monty didn't have much of an effect on the game either, which it's that O-line was just absolute ass. And they need to step the fuck up, and they can't go into this game against Detroit feeling like it's just going to be a fucking easy game, because Detroit's scrappy, man. Like,
I agree.
They have full buy-in over there with Dan Campbell.
They do.
Full buy-in.
I think we have more talent on the defense. Our talent on the defense outweighs. I think we have more talent on our team. I think their O-line. I watched all three games. You did too, Biscuits, and I think that their O-line actually looks a lot better than ours. But it might not against our defense. But yeah, they're definitely buying in. I think they're heading in the right direction long term. I think they have a solid coaching staff. So. But
you get Eddie Goldman back this week, so we're going to see what that actually is about.
Finally.
And Danny Trevathan should be back too, correct?
I don't think so yet. I think he has another. Doesn't he have a couple weeks?
I thought he was on the 3-week. I saw him practicing, so.
Oh, Eddie?
No, Danny.
Trevathan.
No, you guys cut out there for a minute. Yeah, okay.
I think Danny's back this week, but I don't know.
I didn't hear anything on Danny, but maybe he is.
I didn't hear Danny. Definitely heard Eddie. I thought he had retired, was lazy, fat, not coming back.
We'll see if we get pre-London Eddie or post-London
Playing
Eddie.
his ass off. I think Eddie got the message.
He came in good shape,
your
man.
job's gone.
Yeah, I mean, he came back in pretty good shape in training camp. He was looking pretty explosive, so hopefully that's the Eddie we're getting back. So, in other news, before we get into the Lions too deep, which I don't know how deep we really can because they're just kind of a hard team to figure out. But Arlington Heights, the big
Oh.
purchase, and luckily we have one of the 4 people on Twitter that doesn't like the move. So at
Go
least
get
we
it,
get a little.
biscuits.
We'll
It's a
get some
fucking
differing
travesty
opinions.
is what it is.
You think
Fucking
so?
travesty. I mean, nah, listen, it my take is a meatball take for sure. First and foremost, people, if they move to Arlington, they're not going to be the fucking Arlington Bears. They will be the Chicago Bears always. For me, you know, as an out-of-state guy who does not travel into Chicago to see games a whole lot, I really, you know, the one aspect I can agree with people on is the commute, the traffic, the tailgate issues, getting in and out of there, the logistical nightmare. I know
Yes.
Jair's talked about that a bunch. You know, okay, I get that. There's just, for me, I don't see why. One of the main points I hear on Twitter is, well, we can finally host a Final Four and a Super Bowl. Who the fuck cares about hosting a Final Four? Anybody? You two? Y'all care about that?
It brings
You
a lot
could
of
go.
money in, man, and those people are going to go to the city. It's going to still bring money in for Chicago. Any major event, especially in the off season, that is huge.
I
the
guess for
economy.
me, I'm looking at it as I have an interest in the Bears. No offense, city of Chicago. I really don't care about your local economy, and I don't care about lining the McCaskies' pockets, making more money. From the owner's standpoint, I get it 110% why they want to own their own stadium. It's a no-brainer. I just don't care about that aspect.
And I don't know if it's going to be the McCaskies though. You're talking 5 years probably before it were to happen. This could just be almost making their sales pitch more valuable than the next owner. And I don't know. I'm
So
just
it's a sales
saying.
pitch. Yeah. No, I mean, it's a fair point.
I mean,
It
how
is.
many owners get the opportunity to come in, buy a team, and then build their own stadium? That could be a possibility too. I don't know what the inner workings. I'm not going to pretend I do, like certain people on Twitter, but I'm just saying, if you're a prospective buyer and you're like, wow, they have this land and I can actually design my own NFL stadium. Fuck yeah.
Hell yeah, make it like Kansas City's lot and then add whatever, and you could leave it an outdoor, indoor, you can make it a retractable. You've got
Outdoor, no roof.
here we go.
I don't know if they're going to go Kansas City, but they're going to do something similar what the Patriots did with like shopping plazas and museum, and it's going to be a whole complex.
Well, I like what somebody had said earlier this week about basically it took a billionaire to just say fuck it about the Wrigley renovation, you know? It's like we're gonna fucking do it, and this is the way it's gotta be.
Oh, you bring up Wrigley. Like, if the Cubs were leaving Wrigley or the Red Sox were leaving Fenway, I would get like the history of Soldier Field started in 1971. The team's been around since 1920.
For the Bears.
Yes, we've won one championship there. I know there's been a lot of great players that I've played on the field, but it's not like, oh, it hasn't always been home. It will be okay. A state-of-the-art place, like, you're gonna get more people. Like, I don't know, man. Like, more people be traveling to go to the game. You're gonna have more seats. It's gonna be climate controlled in the winter. I know you want to freeze your ass off and all that stuff. And you look at the Bears historically. You look at that home field advantage in the cold. It's really not. It hasn't benefited them that much. If you look at the history of the home games they played in the playoffs.
I think their shitty field turf shitty grass has contributed more of a home field advantage than the weather has.
Right, and that's the thing. So, like, you have to convince the Parks District to put that shit in. You own the freaking team. Like, that's a problem.
Yeah,
Right.
agreed. I do think part of me as a realtor looking at the purchase contract, and obviously I'm not looking at the actual fucking contract, but there's a long way to go from signing that contract to actually closing on it and breaking ground. Part of me does feel like this is nothing more than a negotiation tactic to get the Park District to play ball in some of these things and maybe unlock some of that land access that they want. Go ahead, Jared. Kind of cut you off there.
No, go ahead. You were on it. Just keep going.
What's that other site down there? I want to say it was off McCormick that everybody talks about. There's another site down there where they could expand and knock down that one building to create more of a space for the stadium. Anybody?
I'm not really for sure off the top of my head, but I mean, is there room for it? Yeah, kinda. But the highway, the problem is the getting in and the getting out. It's Lakeshore. It's 41.
They can't do anything with that building really. Like the only expansion that could take place would be in the end, one of the end zones for seating or something like that. There's so many restrictions because it's a historic site. They're very limited to what they can do.
I thought it lost its historic designation.
Yeah, I believe a couple years ago. I believe Jared's right about that.
Yeah, but I thought I was reading something. I was reading something about the only expansion they can do seat wise would be in the end zones. Like they can't go any further with it structurally.
That I believe. That I absolutely believe because of the fucking spaceship on top of it.
That'd be the first thing I would do is remove that fucking thing. Go back to old Soldier Field the way that looked.
You're not going to do it. You're talking about getting rid of all those luxury boxes, man. The corporate shit with the stadiums is just not going to change.
I mean, my view is definitely impractical. I know that. I'm willing to.
What if I told you I could build you a Lucas Oil Stadium that on the outside looked like Soldier Field with the colonnades, but with a retractable roof? Would you be in for that?
Lucas Oil Stadium, no.
Me personally, no.
Lucas is fucking tits, dude.
You lost me at the roof.
Lucas is old and dated at this point compared to some of the new shit out there. Like it needs to be like top notch, state of the art.
I'm just saying similar bricked building. You could obviously update the inside of it.
I mean, I would prefer the Lucas Oil style exterior than what they've built out there with SoFi and in Las Vegas. I might be in the minority, but that stadium they built in Las Vegas is atrociously ugly.
It fits though. It's Vegas. It's gaudy. It's
gaudy's good word. Good word, B.
Well, I'm just saying it looks like it belongs in Vegas. I think they're going to take that into consideration as far as like architectural design. If we want to get into that, I'll come up with some concepts and throw them your way.
There you go.
During that Bears-Rams game, did you see on the second level they had that little restaurant bar there? And when they were cutting in from commercial, they were kind of panning the camera. How many people did you see sitting in that restaurant with their backs turned to the field, watching the game on a TV?
Let them, fuck them. They're paying customers. If they just want to, if it's a social event for the rich.
Who the fuck does that though? Who pays money to go to a game and then doesn't even watch it?
Have you been in the
TV? What do you think happens at Jerry World, dude? That's why they got a giant screen above them.
Dude, have you been in the boxes at Soldier?
No, I have not.
Yeah, it's the same deal up there. There's food stations and all these like nice movie theater type seats, and it's pretty sweet.
Dude, I was arguing with this one guy. If he's listening, I'm sorry, but he was talking about like the bathrooms being a huge issue. Like I have never once used the bathroom in any of the stadiums I've ever gone to.
Really?
Never. Nope. I don't take a piss. I'm not rocketing off a shit in there. No chance in hell.
Well, yeah, I mean, you got to take a leak once in a while.
Get a better bladder, man. Come on. I want to watch the game. No, if it was up to me, like there would be no frou-frou frill amenities, no whiskey bars, no hookah lounges, swim up dolphin pool bars, none of that shit. You go there to watch the game. I would take away that spaceship, concrete seating throughout the entire fucking stadium, and boom, you're just there to watch the game.
Yeah,
and I'm going to lose people there. I know that.
Concrete seats in Chicago outside. Yeah, I think you'll lose a couple people there.
Yeah.
You can buy seat cushions, man.
And by the way, what's up, Terrence? I saw you in the chat there. Hope all's
Terrence
well, man. Terrence Nichols from the Chicago Clubhouse.
Hey, Mr. Nichols.
Yeah. So diving into our opponent here, kind of a tough team to get a take on, right? Because it's inconsistent, but they're scrappy. It's like you said, Biscuits, they're buying in. I mean, it's really been all DeAndre Swift and Hawkinson and Goff, but
Williams, Jamal Williams, backer.
Jamal, Cephas has some moments, but their receiving core, I mean, they don't have a lot of talent around Goff there. He is playing pretty decent, but I think it's another week where our linebackers are going to be challenged just because of their tight end and the running backs. But it's a game we really should win. But what did you see out of the games you watched, Biscuits? Because I know you watched 3 of them also.
Well, I mean, let's start with last week. Ravens had, I think, 6 or 7 guys out on defense, and Lions got a pretty slow start. I think a lot of that was with Goff, missed a few throws. Jair's boy, superstar quarterback Lamar Jackson, hitting that 38-yard pass to set up that game-winning field goal. I mean,
That field goal was ridiculous.
Dude, it was crazy. And they lost to the Ravens last year or 2 years ago, I believe, on a 61-yarder walk-off. I mean, the Lions,
beautiful.
Those poor guys, poor fans.
Goff locks in a lot. You notice that?
I'm not going to bitch about Goff. He
locks in. I mean, if you take away his first read and make him, like go through his progressions, it's harder on him.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's a fair criticism. I think I'm kind of with B that it's a little hard to criticize them when they're 17th in total yards on offense and 19th in points scored, and we're hovering around that 32nd range in pretty much every major statistical category there is.
Yeah, so like we're
we
30
kill for that offense.
We're 32nd in passing, 31st in receiving, 31st in first downs, 20th in rushing, and 31st in points. But they care, and they want to be great.
They care.
Just gotta. That's real now. Just have to figure out the whys. The matchup that I'm looking at is
Care Bears. We're the fucking Care Bears.
We have had one pass attempt go beyond 20 yards successfully, and we've had 0 go beyond 40 yards. And currently, the Detroit Lions are allowing the second most 20-yard pass plays and the second most 40-yard pass plays. So there is an advantage there. And going back to our wide receivers, 35% separation rate this past weekend. That is the matchup that has to be exploited. This weak line secondary, the Bears wide receivers really need to have themselves a game.
And they're vulnerable up the middle in that defense too. So get your slant game going. You know what I mean? Use your tight. Let's finally see the tight ends be used. I think if Laser is calling plays, we're going to see a more balanced attack. So because he's going to get away from all Nagy's crazy bullshit.
That's a good point, B. They've given up 12 catches, 239 yards, and a touchdown to the tight ends this year. Now, granted, they've faced Kittle, Robert Tonyan, and Mark Andrews.
Fucking, we're going 5 wide. You know why? Because I'm Matt Nagy.
5 wide with no help in for whoever the hell's back there to get killed.
Yeah, I mean, I think you got to get Monty involved in the pass game as well. I mean, you need, especially if Fields is at quarterback, you always need that one safe outlet, and they're not providing that either. Some of the routes were there were some deep routes they were trying to get off when there was no protection. Like, keep Monty or figure it out. Tight end, always somebody that's safely open, even if it's a 2-yard gain. And I didn't see a lot of that. And max protect, who gives a shit if it's boring? If your O-line's not holding up after a little bit, you gotta start jumping on that shit.
That's what I'm saying. They only did it twice, and I know there was a bunch of people saying, well, they did it and it didn't work. It's like, well, doing something twice and having you get blown up once is not an indictment not to go back to it, especially when the other 98% of the time it's just not fucking working. But the thing that I want to know, and maybe Jared can shed some light on this, is what on some of those in the JT Sullivan 9-sack breakdown video, did it seem like the running backs were sort of lost in what their blocking assignments were? And there was one point where Damian Williams came over late back on the inside to kind of help on the nose tackle for whatever reason when there was a blitzer coming off scot-free on the left.
It wasn't coming through clean for them. I mean, I saw Monty have to pick up a defensive tackle at one point when he should have been picking up on the outside, but because of blown assignment in front of him, it's tough for them too, because it's like, oh shit, there's 3 guys coming. Which one do I pick up? Like when the O-line's not doing their job in front of you, it's difficult to determine who you should pick up. I mean, some of them, yes, it was Williams seemed to be more confused.
Yeah, I agree.
Which I haven't seen a lot out of him blocking so far, but I'm not a big fan.
Our offensive line sucks, dude.
What happened
Oh,
to your
was it
guy
just-
Fetty, Jer?
He got worked. He
Is
just
that
got
common
worked.
for him? Because you've watched a lot of him. When that one play, I believe it might have been the first sack where he jumped out real wide in that flat base stance and he got beat back inside.
Yeah,
Is that pretty common that you see of him?
that's different. He's not usually. I think he thought one thing. He thought he was going to go with an outside rush, and he was wrong. And by the time he thought about coming back in, it was too late.
And I'll give you my breakdown on him. He's ass.
There you go.
Well, that's the good news is we are going up now. This defensive front for the Lions is their most veteran position group on the roster.
It's their
They're not
strength.
what we saw. Yeah, it's their strength. It's not what we saw last week, but I do think that it can be once again an unfavorable matchup for us if we see the same schematic issues as we did last week.
Yeah, they got Brockers up there too right now.
Josh Woods, baby. Josh Woods.
That's right. He did just get picked up there, didn't he?
Yeah.
Well, they gave
Yeah,
up.
Charles Harris, Romeo Aquaras played really well in limited spots. I know Trey Flowers may or may not play this weekend, but
They got Brockers up
guy.
there too, right?
I believe so.
Yeah, and I think what is it? Jamie Collins got cut,
Yep, Jamie Collins did get cut.
Really.
but I as far as a defensive backs, nothing much there, man. Like this really should. Once again, like we were talking against for the preview to week 2, like this is a get right game because the schedule is ridiculous after this, man. Like
Yeah.
this has to be a get right game for the offense because it's definitely not going to get any easier going forward. I mean, we got the Raiders, Packers, Bucks, 49ers, Steelers, and Ravens after this.
It's crazy is the Steelers game is probably the easiest one out of that grouping.
And if they get healthy though,
Yeah, it's
I
not
think
going to be
Big
easy
Ben
if
is
they get it right.
toast, though, man. I mean, that defense is going to give us fits, no doubt. Not to look too far ahead, but did you see that pass where he was rolling out and just like fell the fuck over as he was
Yeah.
throwing the ball?
it's like Brady though. Like when him and Brady, like you'll say, "Oh, Brady's lost it." How many years have we heard that shit? Like Ben's the same way. Oh, they're starting off slow, and they're always in the playoff hunt though.
Yeah, I ain't never said that shit about Tom Brady.
But,
That's my boy right there.
fuck him. Living up here amongst them, dude, it's such a bandwagon fan base. Like you can't even find a Patriot fan that knows life before Belichick. They couldn't even tell you. They didn't even know. Most of them don't know Pete Carroll was a coach here.
Oh Jesus.
So I'm saying here because this is I live in New England. So, but yeah, they're just such a bandwagon fan base, man. I think the fan base is the biggest reason I hate the whole organization. So
And you're not a big Bill Kraft guy either.
Bob, no.
Bob,
Nope.
yeah, Bill Kraft.
Well, yeah, Bob sued the town I live in. He owns a factory here, so for like 30 million.
Damn.
Yeah. So anyway,
Going
Look-
back to the the get right game from the offense, like you said, back to the wide receivers and who they're facing. Bobby Price, converted safety, guy with a ton of speed but not a lot of experience. Had a really, really good game last week, only giving up 1 catch for 7 yards. Now, granted, if Marquise Brown doesn't drop that one, that's a hit against Price there. But the guy that
he
really
has a bad case of the drops.
horrible. He dropped.
Yeah, that game
I believe
could
it
have
was 3
easily
of them.
been 24-0.
Yeah.
They got a good quarterback, Jer.
They do. They have a great offensive scheme, and they run it well. And they're well coached on offense.
I think we were talking about that. Could you imagine a Greg Roman offense with what we have here?
It would terrify me because I don't think Justin's that guy. He's not thick enough. He'll get hurt.
What?
I mean, dude, he took a fucking beating last week.
Dude, he's like 6'3", 220. Not thick enough.
Did you watch the Clemson game? Did you see him get hit? Did you see him get injured?
Is that the one where he broke his ribs and still came back and fucking balled out?
Yeah, and he could barely walk after that. You want to do that to him?
And then the next game, he threw 6 touchdowns with broken ribs. And no, you don't want to see him get hurt, Jared. But I'm just saying, like, I don't think he's not a fragile QB.
I could see some concepts from that offense working well. But
I mean, involving the tight ends. I mean, going back to 2019, they were running
Yeah,
some
you
pretty
got-
unique shit with 3 tight end sets.
And it's not even about who they have now. Like you look at Roman when he was in San Francisco with Kaepernick, and then he was in Buffalo with the guy that's Tyrod Taylor. Like he just knows how to run offenses around mobile quarterbacks.
true.
And it's not just Lamar is a little more explosive because of just who he is as an athlete, but he just knows how to cater an offense to a mobile quarterback. He's proven that time and time again. So I understand why I want him. I'm a little more interested in Dable just because of his background with Belichick and Saban, and he's been around offenses that cater to their talent. We need that here badly. I don't know if Roman's offensive expertise is worth making him a head coach. I don't know enough about him, but Dabo's been around enough greatness. Basically, it's not like he'd be coming from the Patriots and trying to be the next Belichick right out of the gate. Like he's had the Saban experience in Alabama, and he was with the Patriots for 5 Super Bowls, and now he developed Josh Allen. So there's more of a track record there of doing it in other places.
Yeah.
And I kind of like that. Like he actually, I guess he even like he's very close with Allen. Like they hang out outside of the facility and all that stuff. So I kind of rather have Dable as the head coach. I don't know. I mean, really, I'd rather see Nagy just turn this shit around and let's get right what we have, so we don't have to worry about this shit. But
I mean, I think well, I can't say that because half of Bears Twitter. I don't think even if I don't know what it would take for him to come back and buy himself back into the good graces of the fan base. But I'm certainly rooting for him to figure it out too. I mean, it's what's best for the franchise. I don't want to have to start over again.
Yeah, I don't like to see. I mean, like we were talking, like you got these truthers coming out of the woodwork because they like some people want to purposely see him fail just to be right on their hot take. Like that's bullshit, man. Like I want to see this team do good. I don't care. I want Fields at quarterback, but if Dalton's a quarterback, I still want to see them win. I still want to see them ball out. Like this is my squad, man. I've been through how many quarterbacks have we been through in our lifetime? Like I always want to see them do well. I mean, I went to a fucking Giants game and Craig Krenzel was the fucking quarterback for us.
Traveled to Carolina to see Todd Collins.
That's what I'm saying, man. Like it doesn't. We're so weathered. So whoever's at QB, I hope they do well.
That's the worst quarterback you ever saw live was. Boy, that's a good question.
Todd Collins.
Right.
Oh, actually, I'm sorry. Nathan Peterman and B can vouch for that because we were both at that game in 2018. That guy was terrible live.
Oh, they put him out against that 18 defense was insane.
He did break our rushing TD streak, though.
Yeah,
it was the first rushing TD we gave up that year. Sadly.
And Mitch, that's what pissed me off. I mean, we blew them out, and Mitch didn't even look that good.
No, he didn't play that good at all. I think did he have 1 touchdown, I believe?
Yeah, the defense was just on another level. Yeah. Which they could still they have really turned things around, and that's where I think we should. There's no excuse not to win this game. If we don't win this game, the shit is just gonna. You're talking if it's anything close to the performance in Cleveland, you're getting into losing your locker room level shit.
Yeah, Jer, you have thoughts on that before I hop back in?
On losing the locker room and losing to the Lions? Oh, it'd be nuclear. But we also know that we've seen Mark Trestman survive completely fractured locker room. So,
yeah, never fired a coach in season before.
No, but there's a first time for everything, and by God, it might be if you lose to the Lions and you lose convincingly, boy. And you're already the media is making you look like actually you're making yourself look like an ass in the media. So
he's bringing a lot of it on himself with some of these answers. I was listening to Jeff Dickerson on the radio, I believe it was yesterday, and he was saying even if, now granted, I mean JD is not the end all be all, but he's pretty plugged in up there. He said he believes that even if they do lose this game and it's somewhat an embarrassing Cleveland fashion, that they will not be letting Matt Nagy go. And
they love him.
I agree with that.
Well, you got the rookie quarterback you're trying to develop to fall back on, but if you don't prove that you can make him work within what you're trying to do, you're out the door.
But
Like
how
it
much
had-
of the buck does he pass off to Ryan Pace there when he meets with management and say, hey, look, we lost Tevin Jenkins, we lost Larry Borum. We're starting a guy who's old enough to collect Social Security and a double ARP membership at left tackle. This is what I have to work with. I
then
mean,
what's
he's done that before.
what's your excuse since you've been here? Would be my question to Pace, from Pace to him. Why is
Yeah.
your offense always in the bottom of the league?
Well, it wasn't in 2018. We were middle of the pack, and I'm just saying he's a realtor. He's a salesman. He's gonna sell that shit. He's gonna claim that the Burton injury with his U tight end, which is a focal point in his offense, he didn't have. And he's gonna claim it. It was Mitch Trubisky and it was Harry Heastan. There's always a scapegoat with this guy, Halfridge. It's never him. Like Olin said, figure out the whys, hang a mirror, put a Y on it, stand in front of it. There you go.
I think it really depends how connected Pace is to Nagy and ownership's eyes. Is this a package deal at this point? I don't know what they agreed to when they decided to keep both of them and move forward.
Hope it's a package deal. If one goes, the other has to, in my
So
opinion.
if that's the case, Nagy's not going anywhere until Pace does.
Valid. Jared?
Yeah, to a certain degree. Do you know what I mean? Like I don't know. I don't know how ownership's viewing it. So if I was Pace, to save my own ass, I would move on if shit goes south.
From Nagy, you mean, not from?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Yep,
I guess Jared again.
Yeah, he's back.
Sorry, I'm back.
8 bits back.
It's brutal, boys.
It's all right. We can still hear you pretty good, man.
I think the brutal he's talking about is the state of the franchise currently.
I am the state of my internet. I ain't even gonna fucking lie.
Jerry, your internet is running at 1 point yards per megabit second, whatever fucking technical term I can use. That
That's
sounds
beautiful.
sort of right.
It's beautiful.
So
what were you asking? I'm sorry. You were asking me something.
What the hell were we asking, Brian? B, you tell me.
To Jer?
Yeah, I think so.
Talking about the line. The line's bad. I don't know.
We were
talking about Ryan Pace and Matt Nagy.
The whole situation with Pace and Nagy, and like if Pace is trying to save his job,
one hand washes the other. That's what I will say.
Yeah. I think
I can honestly say Ryan Pace made a concerted effort this year to get linemen, and he made a concerted effort last year, even though it was late in the draft. Sometimes those late guys pan out.
But is year 7, going into year 7, is it too late? I mean, you can't say that he hasn't invested in the offensive line over the years. He just hasn't done it very well.
Yeah, we don't really know.
Whitehair and James Daniels both trending down.
Right, and the two rookies that are injured, we don't know what they would have been.
According to Bears Twitter, they're both Hall of Fame maulers whenever they come back.
That's good. Okay.
I like Larry Borum.
I think
sure.
I honestly
to be the future to steal the draft right there.
Well, Jared and I had concerns before the season started with Jenkins, just because you're expecting a right tackle to make that switch and hold it down in the NFL.
Now look at Penei Sewell. When they tried to switch him to right tackle, he struggled. He's looking better at his natural position at left tackle, but still getting killed with speed.
Yeah.
I think that's a matchup this weekend that I'm kind of hoping Desai takes advantage of, is with Khalil Mack sort of nursing that injury. Can we get Robert Quinn, who has looked, got to eat my words a little bit rejuvenated here this year, 3.5 sacks, beating people with speed. Sewell has not a huge reach, so he's been having fits this year in all 3 games with speed edge rusher. So that's the matchup I want to see. Get Quinn isolated one-on-one with Sewell. That's what I want to see.
Boy, if he struggles with speed, that's Robert Quinn all day.
I want to see Eddie back, freeing up our linebackers to do their thing too.
Oh, Goldman. Okay.
Yeah.
I like the idea of that defensive line rotation a lot. I really do. I feel like that's something that's going to play really heavily into this game. If we can push the pocket, force Goff out, watch those ends eat, it'll just be real interesting.
We've always given Goff a hard time.
Yeah. And Desai's gotten really creative with some of these quarter coverages and what he's done with this front 4. I mean, last week, I think you can nitpick a little bit and say, yeah, we should not have given up 200 plus yards rushing, but then you kind of go back R2D2 style, to the time of possession, how long they were on the field. I mean, I think a lot of that plays into, their rushing weakness last week, but there's definitely an opportunity here. I would say out of the entire line, I mean, Ragnow, solid center. Left guard can be exploited. Right tackle, solidly. Nelson has actually he's impressed me the 3 games. I don't know if you paid any attention to him, Brian.
What's that? Sorry, I got a text from AA here.
What did he say?
He's in the chat making comments, but we're not seeing them.
Yeah, that happened last week when I was in the chat.
Just jump in.
I was chatting. Yeah, hey, hop the fuck on here.
Once he gets in, shit runs better. I promise you.
Yeah, last week I was in the chat and I was coming with that heat, and I don't think anyone could see me and Christopher last week. TY.
Yeah, I don't know what's going on here. It's on my
So sorry, man. Who are you asking about now?
Matt Nelson, the right tackle. I don't know if you've kind of keyed in on him going back and rewatching those 3 games. He easily had the best game out of all 5 linemen last week against Baltimore.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I told you, I think their O-line as a whole is looked much more stable than ours, and that could be just the way that Goff is a veteran, so he can get them in the right position. But I would say that's probably one of the strengths of their offense, besides Swift and Hawkinson.
Yeah, I mean those are really their 2 guys passing. Their 3rd leading receiver is Khalif Raymond with 11 catches, so that's really not scaring anybody. Like you said, Cephas has had his moments. Roquan. I mean, I'm assuming you're putting Roquan when you can on Hawkinson, but he gave him kind of some fits last year too. But yep. I would rather see Roquan on him than a guy like Duke Shelley, which will just get abused.
Correct.
He played well in run support.
Yeah, I was going to say, Shelley did step up a little bit. Yeah,
it wasn't bad. Deion Bush, I thought, played okay. I don't think we missed Gibson.
His first play was impressive.
That open field tackle.
Well, just the one he knocked down early.
Oh, okay.
Got over there quickly. So, yeah, man, I'm not worried about our defense unless they're on the field 3/4 of the game. I mean, Detroit is one of those teams that you can't sleep on because they're fighting hard. They want that win.
Pause.
No, I'm not sitting here like trying to give them too much credit, but this looks like a more bought-in team in Detroit than I've seen in a while.
Yeah, I would agree. I think really good on 3rd down last week too, Detroit.
Yeah, and I'm not saying. I mean, I know we joke around about Campbell, but he played for Parcells. He's been around. Peyton, and it's not like Pace. He's actually been coaching with Sean Payton. He's been around some awesome coaches, and even though he comes off like a doofus and the presser sometimes about talking about biting people and whatever the hell he's talking about, he seems to have this team focused and fighting.
Yeah, he made comments to the media this past week about the veteran players that they retained and the veteran players that they brought in that they felt like would be pieces of that culture buy-in aspect.
He's got good coaches around him.
He's got a hell of a staff.
He's smart enough to put good pieces around him. You know how Nagy was until he fired them all and said that it was all their fault that the run game wasn't going and the offense sputtered.
Harry, I'll give you, Jer, as far as like, but Helfrich.
Vic
took off to take a head coach job. He didn't get rid of
opportunity. But that's a question I wanted to ask you guys is talking about, the press conference here, reading between the lines. Is Laser calling plays this week? Is he not? Do you think a change in play caller makes a difference if Nagy still has a heavy hand in the game plan and some of the schematic issues that we saw last week? If he's still so involved in that, is the changing the play caller really going to make a difference?
Can. The offensive line's just got to play better. Guys have to play better too. As much as I want to just blame Nagy, and it's easy enough to do, guys got to fucking block. You got to tackle. Can't change that shit.
I agree. I mean, it's a two like everything Chicago Bears. It's not just one issue. It's
No,
multi-layered.
it's everything.
So
Yeah,
yes,
I
we
mean,
have to execute, but can we put him in better fucking situations too?
you
Right.
can't half-ass give it up though. Like if you're giving up play calling, you have to give up play calling. Sure, if shit's not working and you're going into the locker room at halftime and you're gonna have, of course, the head coach is gonna have input.
How involved do you think Brandon Staley is over at the Chargers with the offense?
Let me just finish my thought real quick.
Sorry.
I'm fucking with you, Jared. But like, yeah, you can't. You have to go all in if you're gonna do it, and just let Laser do his thing. And until and if of course the head coach is gonna overstep if things are going to absolute shit, but you got to let him run things. Him and DiFilippo come up with it and run it.
That's a good question, Jared. I don't really have a good answer for you. I'll be honest with you. I don't know how
I'm
much
gonna-
ownership.
I'm
he
just
takes.
I'm just gonna say he's probably smart enough to leave it alone and let somebody else deal with it. And sometimes being a head coach is that you have to be smart enough to let somebody smarter than you manage it.
We don't have that guy.
Nope, we do not. We have ego naggy man with
But
a
Waddle and Sylvie nailed it. It's like that Michael Scott response when he's in front of his boss. Like, what do you do? Like, should we keep you around? And it's just like these random answers, just trying to improv. That's what Nagy does during pressers.
He talks like a realtor. I do this every fucking week, guys. You just talk in circles till the people forget what the original question was.
Yeah.
Yep. All right, let's do we have any score predictions for this mess?
That's a tough one.
It is a tough one. That's sad.
We don't know who the quarterback's going to be. Like, I'm pretty like 90% sure it's Fields, but I don't fucking know this guy, man. Like, that's a hard game to predict if you don't even know who's behind center. So I guess for some weird
David
reason,
Montgomery is behind center.
Is it
yeah,
bad that I would feel better about that? Is that bad?
I guess we could do. It could be one or two quarterbacks. So I guess it's
You want to do
predictions.
2 predictions?
I don't know, man.
Does that change your prediction? Let's say
No.
no.
Yeah, it does a little bit actually.
Flow of the game if we're actually getting something going. I can't see. So Detroit 10, 21-10 Bears.
Oh,
21 points. You're drunk.
I don't drink, Jer. I take my
The defense is scoring 3 times. Is that what you're saying?
yeah. Not necessarily. It could come with a defensive touchdown.
I feel you.
maybe it's Khalil Herbert taking one to the house. Second highest kick return average in the league right now.
Or maybe it's Justin Fields getting some time back there and throwing 3 touchdowns and having the best quarterback rating in Bears history.
I'd take that.
I like that.
All right, my prediction 17-13. This time I will take the Bears.
Ooh.
I'm not taking them over 20 points. I will not do it till they prove me otherwise. And it will be defensive score and lots of field goals.
Well, boys, it's going to be a clean sweep this week because I also am taking the Bears for the first time this year. And I have them scoring not only over 20, 23 points.
Oh, my.
23-20 on a Carlos Santos game-winning field goal. This is a bounce-back game for the offense. Unfortunately, well, not unfortunately, but historically, they do bounce back under Nagy, surprisingly. And I think they bounce back. I think the offense has nowhere to go but up, even if it's 1.2 yards per play. Maybe there's a defensive touchdown there, but we're getting to 23 points. 23-20 Bears.
There you
I
go.
like it. Jared, would you have 17-13?
Y'all got it.
What'd
Y'all
you
got
have, Jared?
anything else?
What'd you have for score?
17-13.
Okay.
Just
Writing them all
fuck
down.
this
Just
score. Y'all
for
got
bragging
anything
rights.
else? I'm out.
No, I hear you, man. But yeah, hopefully we this is a must win because it does not get any easier. This level of talent we're playing against, this is a perfect game to get right, and you have to do it this week because moving forward, man, These are gonna be hard teams to get right against. You have to go in being right. So we need this to absolutely be for the offense to get right game. And if we're not seeing that, we're in trouble going forward because this season is about to get extremely brutal. So hopefully they come out and the offensive line plays the game of their life. And I think it's going to be Fields back there. And hopefully Laser is calling plays and he's put in position to succeed.
There you go.
Well said.
Well, boys, let's wrap this up. That's just another
right.
episode of the Tailgate Show.
The franchise QB is coming into Soldier Field and throwing 500 yards. The Bears.
Soldier Field stays on the lakefront. Fuck Arlington.
All right, fellas.